Very warm welcome to you, Dean from maverickstar Observatory. Been a busy day at the observatory today. We've had 2 lots of data from one of our superstars, Kendall, which we've managed to process and put up on the website for those that are following what's going on with the magnetic intensity over Canada, as well as other places that we've collected data. If you go over to maverickstar Global Data, click that link at the top of the header, and then it will take you to a selection of different locations where we've collected data and currently collecting data at this moment. So that data has been updated. A little bit later on in the video, we're going to have a look at the latest Earth anomalies, as well as CO2 readings, etc., like that. But before we do, I noticed in the comment section a few people complaining about the fact that we mention sometimes the link down there in the description. It's a link that you can leave a donation only if you want to. It's not mandatory. But here's the deal: if no one leaves any funding for the observatory goes. It's as simple as that. It's not mandatory, and we don't charge for the data. It's been free forever. We just ask that some people now and then chip in a few bucks just to keep things going. If no one chips in anything, well, it's like everything else. It goes by the by. And this is the only observatory that tracks the magnetic North Pole with bespoke equipment every 3 seconds. On the 17th of every month, we collect all that data. We take the latest position of the magnetic North Pole and we reveal it to you guys on the website and on YouTube as well. So remember this: it's not compulsory. We don't charge. If we did, could you imagine that? If we charged, right, there'd be people that rely on this data in Afghanistan, in Pakistan, in India, in China and other countries around the world where the salaries are that low. To me and you, it'd be ridiculous. Some people don't even earn $3 a day. How could we ever charge them for that data that could possibly help save their families' lives as well as their own? We just couldn't simply do it. So, I thought it would be worth me just mentioning this to people. It's not compulsory. If no one chips in, it's gone. It's as simple as that. A lot of people get it, and there's a lot of people that just don't simply get it. And they say, oh, we hate the guilt trip that you keep putting on us. We feel bad. That's why we don't want to come back. Well, that's fine. You know what? I was happy when we had 10,000 subscribers. To add another 40,000 subscribers on that doesn't make any difference to me. Why would I need another 10,000 subscribers on top of what I've got already? It's entirely up to you. If you want to help, then that's fine. The link's down there in the description. If not, then go somewhere else. I don't care. I'm not after. If you ever heard me on this channel ask people to subscribe to it, I never do. I myself, if I like what someone's saying, I find it interesting, I'll naturally subscribe. I don't need to be told to subscribe, press the bell, do this, that and the other. That's not me. I run an observatory. I own bespoke equipment, and you can't get this information anywhere else. And if you come regularly to this website and you come regularly to the channel and you don't donate, that's up to you. You know what sort of person you are, don't you? So, I'll just say it once in this video. There's a link down there. If you want to help, it's entirely up to you. But if you don't, that's fine. You know what? I've told people before, if they go out, if every organ in their body goes out for itself, they'll be dead in an hour. And this is no different. Only this is, a community of people that want to help. Without those people, we wouldn't be where we are right now. We wouldn't be the only observatory tracking, like we are, every 3 seconds, the magnetic North Pole. So that's in a nutshell. I don't need to say any more. I think most people get it. I can't believe that we're in the 3rd day of the year having to explain this simple thing to people, because we've explained it time and time again. There is no charge for this information. It is freely and entirely up to you if you want to support. If you don't, fine. It doesn't make no difference. Okay. Let's have a look at what's going on with CO2 and other earthly anomalies. So here's what's been going on recently with the the topics that we cover. So starting off with atmospheric CO2 parts per million, it's at 429. Guys, for the last 12 months CO2's been falling on average. No mention of this in mainstream media, no mention of it from other scientific organisations or government bodies. CO2 is starting to fall, and that is something we should be alarmed about, because I usually show the interglacial and glacial periods over the last 450,000 years. Well, when CO2 started to drop, it meant that we was going back into a glacial period. So just bear that in mind. CO2 is falling, and it's not falling because some people are driving around in electric cars, and we've built a couple of thousand wind generators, and we're using solar panels now. It's nothing to do with that, because let's face it, 0.4% is what the CO2 concentration is in our atmosphere. 0.4% would add nothing to anything, trust me. And in any case, at the 0.4%, like I say all the time, 0.12% is what we put into the atmosphere. The Earth and the ocean is the biggest contributor to adding CO2 or taking it out of the atmosphere. There is nothing mankind can do on this planet that can reduce that by anything significant. If we do, we're dead. Alright, plain and simple. If we half the CO2 that's in the atmosphere right now to 0.2%, all the vegetative state biodiversities across the range would die tomorrow. That's how ridiculous this net zero is by 2030. That's how ridiculous the UN is and their scientific advisors. They're doing this simply to rip off the general public around the world, not just in one country, around the world. Okay, moving on to atmospheric oxygen. Well, it's at 20.92%. We should be grateful that that never changes. It never fluctuates. It's always around 20% or 21%. And that is a massive reservoir of oxygen. So we're not going to run out of oxygen in our atmosphere at any time soon. There is 20% of our atmospheric composition, made up of 20% oxygen. I've added the latest magnetic pole positions, the longitude and the latitude, as you can see there, for you. So if you're following on your own Google Earth maps and you're pinning it, you can see how far it advances in 30 days or thereabouts. Radiation background dropped a little bit from the last time we measured it, but it's always at the same. It's always around that. So there is nothing more happening with standard radiation and its background count. There are 25 volcanoes in eruption, and again, if you go back over the archive of 3 years, you'll see that that's standard. There's always around 25, 26, 27 at a push. The largest earthquake there, as you can see, is in Russia, 5.2. That's in the last 24 hours. It's the largest magnitude earthquake in that period of time. We've got muons per square metre in the UK at 607, and muons per square metre per hour at 933 in Canada. Sunspot numbers have rose a little bit to 6. That means there's 6 sunspots on the disk. The geomagnetic field is quiet. Solar X-rays are normal, and as we know, the jet streams are unstable. So that is the general rundown on the main anomalies that are worth paying any attention to. And if you go onto the website, you can have a look at the archive yourself if you're concerned about any of the things that we've covered there. Our observatory covers it's got its own CO2 atmospheric equipment, likewise the oxygen equipment that measures the atmospheric oxygen, and of course we have Trimag systems, a Trimag system here in the UK which monitors every 3 seconds the magnetic North Pole position, as well as having magnetometers in different locations around the world. I know that the one that we had in Canada, there seems to have been developed a fault there, so it's on its way back, and we'll have a look at that, and if it needs repairing, we'll get it sent straight back out to Michael as soon as we can. So that's what's happening there, if you're wondering what's the delay with the data there. If there is someone in Brazil or in that region, drop me a line. I'll send you my email. Let's get in touch. If you're interested in having a magnetometer in Brazil, I absolutely want to get one out there, because Brazil is under the region of the lowest magnetic intensity on our planet, which is growing and splitting apart, and the second half of it, or the furthest part away from Brazil, which is the main part of this South Atlantic anomaly, is breaking apart and moving over to South Africa. So if you're interested in that and you're in Brazil or South Africa, drop me a line. And if you are dedicated to just once a month, breaking out the SD card out the magnetometer, sending me that file, I'll process it and put it up on the website for everyone to see. Simple as that. I'll send you out the equipment free of charge. Just want people that can, reliably send the data to me. I'll process it. That's not a problem. I've never had a problem processing data. It might be sometimes a few days late, but it does get done in the end, and that data does get put up on the website. So that's where we are right now, guys. Link down there if you want to help support us. For those that have and continue to do, kudos to you guys. It requires more than one person, to do this. It is a community that is interested in this topic, and there's no reason why people shouldn't be. At least there are just a couple of % of the people on this planet that are aware of why the climate is behaving the way it is, and that are informed about the magnetic pole reversal. But the majority of them are, glued to TVs, watching the mainstream media's take on this, and why the climate is the way it is. So it just goes to speak, and that really is all there is to say, other than there was one other important thing I wanted to just mention to you. Over the last 36 hours, where the magnetic North Pole currently is at the moment, there was an earthquake. So, or in that region, over the northern ridge, or the mid-ridge, North Atlantic Sea. So I thought it was worth mentioning that. Okay guys, you have a good evening. I'll catch up with you at a later date, and as always, I'll say what I usually do. Bye for now.